This is a special video feature called How and Why I Started My YouTube channel. This video shows how the combination of hobby variants and my background in professional audio and video made it possible for me to make the videos that you now can see on my YouTube channel. Currently in 2021 I am 68 years old and here I'm around 35 years old. I had a beard even in those days and a lot more hair. The beard and hair have changed colour. And here's the wreckage of my aeroplane. This was possibly the best crash I ever had. This was quite a heavy scale model and I was throwing it about in the air a little bit too violently. The wing parted company with the fuselage and that was the end of that. This video was taken by a friend of mine with a Betamax system. In those days I didn't have a video camera. This next video was taken by another friend of mine using a similar antiquated video setup. I think this one was filmed in about 1996 and I'm in my recording studio.
The last time you were here we were a measly 16-track recording studio. Now we're a measly 24-track recording studio with 24 more problems and a soundcraft machine that sometimes works. Note the new desk, view and to desk. And if you note my unusually dishevelled appearance, not that I'm ever untidy, you understand, you will realise I've been building this week. It's total schizophrenia. Been a plumber, and a brickie, and a joiner, and sometime in the middle of that, a recording engineer. Far better than the old system, far more expensive. I've got plenty of equipment and no money. That's really all I'd like to say on the subject. Thank you very much.
My voice has definitely changed over the years. It's got deeper. I'll be sounding like Barry White soon. As time went on, I was blessed with two beautiful little daughters, and I didn't want to take these two down to the model flying field because it was too dangerous. That's when I got into miniature steam. I have three daughters in total. The eldest one isn't on the video. He's a little boy who was a friend of mine's son. And the one who's doing all the shouting is my daughter Charlotte, who's now 34 years old. This Thomas the Tank Engine was electric, based on a Box Hill chassis, and I built it completely from scratch. I even built the gearbox. It was a 19:1 reduction gear, and it always ran at a very safe speed. In 1993 I bought a part-finished Stanier Black 5. It's the Highlander design from Martin Evans, and here I was finishing it off. I ran this at the West Riding Small Locomotive Society Club track for about a year, but then I needed the money to buy a house and unfortunately it had to go. Very sad, but necessary. The entire engine and tender was 9 feet long, and my friend and myself once tried to pick it up, just the engine. We picked it up, looked at each other and put it back down very quickly. It was very heavy. I built and rebuilt quite a few locomotives round about this time, but then after a while I suddenly decided to get into steam engines for boats. And I built a couple of really nice steamboats. This was a turning point and it's when the videos started. I was building this thing, which was a steam plant based on a 21st century steam Titanic steam engine. And this was filmed using an old mobile phone. I don't know where the time went and I don't know what happened to my hair and beard and eyesight. In this clip I'm at my eldest daughter Emma's house. We went round there for dinner. By this time I'd bought a proper video camera and Emma asked me to read from this book. And of course, as we all know, the characteristics of a Kaizen approach, the term Kaizen is used for any intensive project where employees are pulled off their regular jobs. Now, as we all know, in industry, employees do not like being pulled off at the best of times. You pull an employee off and somebody's going to come and take you away, and then there'll be some sort of a court case later. It soon became apparent that I could speak to a camera okay, but the way I do it now is in little bits and pieces. I make the video of whatever I'm doing, then I assemble the video, watch the pictures and speak over it live. I don't use a script, I make it up as I go along. Very soon people started to contact me asking me if I could repair their steam engines, and then it all sort of started to take off a bit. For the first 3 or 4 years though, it never did much. There was one pivotal video that changed everything. I'll show you that shortly. These engines on screen belong to a collection owned by a friend of mine in Portsmouth. And there was a time when he would buy all sorts of things and bring them up to me for me to repair them and make them better. Some were good and some were diabolical, but generally speaking, apart from one or two notable exceptions, I usually got them to work alright. At this time I was still working in my recording studio and making comedy videos with a friend of mine. We just made them for a laugh. My friend Colin, who's the one on the left, not the cockerel, I mean the man with the cards, sadly died a few years ago. How inconsiderate, we could have made a lot more videos. Two other people in this video, the one who played the devil and the one in drag, also sadly died. This video was all about a country and western club called Lucy's Bar. And with the help of my friend Colin, we composed the tune, I performed the keyboard parts and Colin did the vocals. Here's a short extract from it.
She looked at me with a freaky eye, squeezed my hand and held me tight, put her lips to my ear, and then she said to me, I'm gonna get you. Now just you wait and see, I'm gonna get you. Ooh, you're not getting away.
Once again, just for fun, before we made this video, we made a short series called Antiques. This is an excerpt from one of them.
But what if it meant we weren't going to move to Spain? What does move mean?
It means we can move. That's what it meant, Col.
Around 2010 I made this series, How to Build a Model Steam Launch. It was 5 hours of detailed instructions on a 3 DVD set. Then I fancied to go to documentary, so we made this documentary about the Whitley Beaumont Hall estate. And this is all that remains of what was once quite a large country house. The gardens were actually landscaped by Capability Brown, but it's very derelict now. And this is all that remains of it, this very sad, lonely building. It's a gentleman's reading room over an ice house. And I superimposed the picnic on the photograph. I really do enjoy creating audio and video, especially if it's for tutorial purposes. I don't sell either of the DVDs now. This was a 2 DVD set showing how to play jazz and rock licks on a Hammond B3. Increasingly more, mainly because my friends kept dying, I started to make more and more videos about steam-related things. If you look at this clip, you will notice that most of the people running the engines are not young men. And the main reason, right or wrongly, why I started this channel was to attempt to attract younger people into it. The majority of viewers are not young people, but some are, and some people are reaching middle age and decide that maybe they want to make a steam engine, and a good way to learn how to do it is to watch my tutorial videos. Well, that's what I thought, and the channel just ticked over for a few years. Then suddenly, one video started to get more views. It was called How to Silver Solder for Beginners. And basically, it's just an excerpt from How to Build a Model Steam Launch, when I was silver soldering the piping for one of the launchers. After that started to lift and take off, then I set my stall out. The audio was much better because originally I was just speaking into the microphone on the computer, which was horrible, so I set up a microphone on a stand in front of the screen. First of all, I started with fairly cheap microphones, and now I use a really top-range studio mic. And if anyone out there is interested in studio microphones, I'm speaking into a Neumann U87, which I've had for quite a long time in the recording studio. This series is Model Engineering for Beginners, and even though it's been out for quite a long time, you would not believe how many people ask me things that are shown in this, episode 1. I try to explain things in a simple, non-technical manner most of the time, and I always try to encourage people not to get bogged down with technicalities, because if you think about it for long enough, you will never do it. As the channel started to grow, a few people from the USA recommended that I set up a Patreon channel, and I didn't know what it was. I set it up anyway, and now as it's developed, it's the revenue from my kind Patreon supporters that make it possible to produce as many videos as I do. I try and make a video every day for my Patreon supporters, and about 3 times a week for YouTube. And I almost forgot, I played in a couple of bands with some of my friends. This band was called Mad Dogs and Yorkshiremen, and originally it was supposed to be a Joe Cocker tribute band, but we couldn't find anybody who could sing like Joe Cocker. So we used a young lady called Sadie, who was a very good vocalist. I can't include the audio because it's copyright. This is a photograph of the vocal booth in my recording studio, and this is where I edit and voice over the videos. My recording studio, although modest, is very state-of-the-art. I use Pro Tools 12, which runs on a very high specification PC, and 3 monitors make it very easy to use. I use a Yamaha computer-controlled mixer for all the inputs, and these are a few of my keyboards. Oh, and while I think about it, here are a couple more. This is the new studio near York in the United Kingdom, and this is my old workshop in Dewsbury, West Yorkshire. And even this has changed. I got a divorce and moved out to this place near York, and this photograph shows the new workshop in the early planning stages. The workshop layout has changed quite a bit since I took this photograph, and I've recently added 2 more lathes. To finish this video, I'm back in the studio, and here is my Marshall fridge. It looks like a Marshall amplifier, but when you open the door, it has nice things inside it. I must admit, watching this video back, my recording studio really has come on quite a long way since the beginning.
Here we have the effects rack, known in the trade as a TC rack, which loosely translated means a talent compensator rack, compensating for the lack of talent from the people who use the studio most of the time.
And my voice really has changed over the years. Stay healthy, thanks for watching, and I hope you found it entertaining. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.